this revolution is filled with so many ironies, really. First, you tell us that it is manly to keep your word, right? If you are a man, you keep your word. And now all of the black people in this country are demanding, and even the black people in the whole world are demanding, is that you keep your word. You told us we were free. Well, then show us that we're free. You told us that there is justice, equality for all in this country. Well, then stick to your word and let us see the justice and equality for all. Or else admit to us that you're not a man. You're a worm. You're afraid of us. You're afraid to give us equal stand. You're afraid that if you give us equal ground, that we will match you and we will override you.
There it goes. There it goes.
And your ass is next.
You can kill all the black folks you want, baby, but you will not kill the freedom of black folks. It's coming. We're going to get it. We fought every one of your damn lousy wars, baby, and you give us nothing. Now the war is going to be here, but we're going to be free. Now you kill you want to, but we kill too.
Negroes, do your duty.
That's all we ask. That's all we ask. Good afternoon. It's 2 o'clock, a little bit after 2 o'clock. I'm a little late, but I appreciate anybody that's going to check this out live. I appreciate anybody that's going to check this out recorded. You know, I appreciate people. I appreciate people. Probably more than people actually know. So, you know, I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. I got some time today. Tony D, what's good with you, bro? What's good with you? First person checking in today, from suburban Atlanta, I believe. Still, I don't think you moved. I think you're still down there in Georgia. And anybody that kicks up in the chat, I definitely want to acknowledge you because I appreciate you. You know, whether there's 10 of us in here, whether there's 100 of us in here, you know, I mean, I had a video last week. I don't know why. I had a video last week. It had over 1,000 views. I have no idea what made that video. Actually, I kind of do know what made that video what it was. And it was because probably I was a little heated. What was good with you, bro? You say I'm an hour and a half away from ATL, but enjoy. Okay. So you're not suburban Atlanta. What are you suburban? What's the big town near you? You know, or are you in the big town? I've always thought you were right outside of Atlanta. But yeah, you know, I had a little situation where I kind of had to speak my truth, and it didn't go left. I think it went right. Warner Robins. Okay. Yeah. That's right. I remember that now from Haps. I do remember that now from Haps. Good afternoon, Brother Donald. Appreciate you in here. Always a loyal listener on the Facebook Lives when I'm rolling around in the car. But yeah, I don't know why that one caught fire the way it did. I mean, maybe because people felt like I might have been directing something towards certain individuals, really. People that think they know, but they don't know. People that like to talk, they like to chirp. But, you know, really as a collective, those types of individuals, I'm good with transients, you know, I'm good with transplants. But what I'm not good with is people that think that they have the right to come at people wrongfully, especially me, because I'm gonna kick back. I have no problem with kicking back. And then there's people that won't say anything, you know, and that's them. But that's just never me. You know, if you're in the village and you're talking out of turn, then I'm gonna let you know. Especially if you're just trespassing, especially if you're just an occupant. But I want to make sure that the audio is good. It looks like everything's coming through good. I've got a couple monitors going today because I might do some call-ins. Once I get everything out that I want to talk about. I'll open a phone line up and I want to see if I can get the audio through here the right way. I've never done it on this deck. I did it on my old deck, but I've never done it on this deck. So I want to see if I can actually get some call-ins. So it's been a wild week. And as we start a new week, I mean, I put this one up today, PoliKICKS, because, you know, now you've got presidential candidates slinging sneakers. You know, and granted, the ones on the left, the Biden-Harris sneakers, you know, the Air Minis, they're not Air Maxes, they're Air Minis, with the 2 Velcro strap, because I know that Biden's people probably can't tie their shoes. So I gave them the Velcro snaps, but those are the authentic Trump stars. I don't know what this shoe is really called. I named it Trump stars. They're not all stars. They're Trump stars. They kind of look like, you know, I mean, I really don't know. This is right along with the platinum plan. I would have anticipated he would have made the shoes platinum, but instead he made them gold and put the flag around the ankle. I really can't remember a shoe that looks like this. It kind of does look like the Converse All-Star back in the 80s, you know, when Doc was wearing them and Magic and Larry. It kind of does look like that All-Star shoe, but he's got the big T on the side and he's got the flag wrapped around the ankle. Looks like he's got a red bottom. I mean, and I guess it's a real shoe. He's selling them for like $400. But, you know, that's not really what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about Donald being back on the campaign prowl. He's on the campaign prowl and he's looking for black voters, and that's okay. You know, that's okay. I mean, I still don't see myself voting for Trump. I don't think he's going to say enough right or do enough right where I could cast my vote for him. And that's okay. You know, nobody's expecting me to. I know some people think I'm that conservative. I do have conservative views, but I don't have conservative views to where I think I could cast a vote for him. On the other hand, I don't think I can cast a vote for Joe. So if Cornel West is still in it to win it at the end, I will be casting my vote. And hey, I just noticed, Brother Tony, you are checking in from Twitter. Man, share this on Twitter. If you're checking in from Twitter, share this on Twitter. You know, I don't get a lot of run on Twitter because I don't post a lot on Twitter. But I'm probably going to do a Twitter space later because I got some things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Killer Mike. I also will do some rehashing and talking about what's going on. The Never Surrenders. That's the name. I know you lying. I know. They're called the Never Surrenders. Dude, that has no kind of chime to it. The Never Surrenders. Wow. Who is his marketing manager? Because I think I could kick them out of the job. I think if I really wanted to take over Donald Trump's marketing and promotion, I think I could win that job over. Never Surrenders. You got those Never Surrenders in a size 12. That doesn't even flow. I mean, anybody that sees the shoe, they're going to say that you got the Trumps. You know, you got the Trumps. You got any more of those Trumps? They're not going to say Never Surrenders. Never Surrenders. Come on, man. Come on, Donald. And he's so serious about this. I mean, he done pubbed him a couple of times. So it's really funny to me that this is his way of getting out there. It seems so democratic. You know, the Democratic Party is really about the symbolism. They're really about the symbolism, you know. But it's this country where we are now. And this country is weathered and it's worn out. And you got people going all different directions. One of the things that I've noticed recently, you know, the fabric of this country is pretty much what this image shows. It's just weathered. You know, it's just weathered and people are being pulled in different directions, you know, and it's not just illegals coming over, you know, it's not just illegals. It's a lot of the political fodder that's out there, people that are talking out of turn. I really don't understand how Joe Biden is going to win again as his approval rating continues to fall and he continues to say less and less to his base, to his constituents. And I know there's the vote blue no matter who. They don't care what type of policy, what type of legislation that Biden's talking about. They're going to vote for him no matter what. Those clowns are going to get what's coming for him, okay? But the people who are actually sitting around waiting for Joe Biden to say something, you know, promising, you're just going to continue to wait. This is me personally, I don't think Joe Biden's going to be the president. If he does win, I don't think he'll be the president 6 months after the election. Donald Trump could be the same thing because he may just go to prison. So it's the weirdest election where you might vote for a president, he might become elected, and then he still might not be able to finish the 4 terms due to incapabilities for incarceration or just, you know, he's just not coherent. I believe that Joe's cognitive skills have diminished in such a way they're hiding them. I put an image up last week, and I don't know if I can actually show. Let me see if I can actually show. Do I got that image? That his appearances, Joe Biden's appearances, were so low. Like Obama had appeared 400 times in his last term. Trump had appeared 300 times in his last term. These are personal appearances, interviews, and different things like that. And Biden's only appeared a little over 80 times. We've literally only seen him do real interviews and things like that 80 plus times. Now, Obama did that 5 times over at 400, and Trump did it more than 3 times over, almost 4 times over, probably 4 times over. He was over 300. And Biden has barely been seen during his pregnancy. He's been, you know, invisible. Kamala's been invisible. And truly, their policy and legislation has been invisible. The only thing that has been omnipresent is he's given money to countries that hate us, They hate America unless they come in for the bag. And he's also, you know, basically the borders were never really closed. There was never a wall. There was never really any preventative measures to keep people from coming over here. Trump just talked about it a lot, but ain't nobody really stopped coming over here. And there hasn't been a whole lot of deportations since Obama. So, you know, they're talking maybe 10 million people over the last 3-4 years have come into the United States. And I just don't know where they're at. I don't know where they're at, but wherever they are, they're coming to a city near you. They're coming to a state near you, you know, and that's why this country is weathered right now. That's why this country is being torn at its very fabric. That's why we have a bunch of stuff happening that I don't think we would have happening, truthfully, had we had Trump get reelected, because I think he would have been so steadfast on all of this stuff. I can't speak on his other policy and legislation, but that's one thing that I can say about him. If I'm ever going to agree with him on, is he is America first. He's America first, you know, and I know when he speaks, he's America first. He's probably thinking white America first. Just like I would think black first, he's thinking white America first, you know. But for the most part, he's going to look out for the country before he looks out for anybody else. But before you start thinking I'm deriding Donald Trump, because that's as nasty as it sounds, I definitely want to get to what he's been kicking and what he's been pushing, because Donald Trump said some shit a couple of days ago. Where we at, man? Where we at? Yeah, he said this a couple of days ago, and I was tripping.
These lights are so bright in my eyes that I can't see too many people out there. But I can only see the black ones. I can't see any white ones, you see? That's how far I've come. That's how far I've come. That's a long way, isn't it? The mugshot, we've all seen the mugshot. And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. You know, they do shirts and they sell them for $19 a piece. What did you say, nigga?
So my thing was, when I first heard that, I was like, because it got sent to me. I had no idea what he had said because I hadn't seen him in South Carolina. I had no idea. Well, no, he was at some type of, I think it was in South Carolina, some type of conservative conference, black conservative conference. And it's supposed to be a whole bunch of black people there. But from what I saw, it was literally just a bunch of white people at the conservative conference for black people. So he didn't have anybody behind him. He didn't have the Blacks for Trump people behind him with the Blacks for Trump shirts. This was like a real campaign stop. And he's saying this, and I'm thinking to myself, like, if it's a bunch of black people out there and he's saying this, you know, what are they thinking? But then, truthfully, what are the white people saying? Because if you say, I can't see none of y'all white people out there, I can only see black people. And if there ain't no black people out there, then they're just like, oh boy, he's off the rails. But his marketing and promotions and publicists, I don't know what they're getting paid, but they really are overpaid. Because truthfully, if you're in a state like that and you're going to let him say things like this, I mean, you tripping. It's nuts.
These lights are so bright in my eyes that I can't see too many people out there. But I can only see the black ones. I can't see any white ones, you see? That's how far I've come. That's how far I've come. That's a long way, isn't it? The mugshot, we've all seen the mugshot. And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. You know, they do shirts and they sell them for $19 a piece.
$19 a piece. I don't know why his voice got like that when he said that. $19 a piece. But I want to find somebody who was like really endorsing, or they were acting as if they were endorsing what he said about them shoes. About what is it? Is it the never surrenders? Is that what they're called? Let me get here it is. There it is. Let me get this ready here. Give me 1 second. This right here is just letting you know the disrespect that's really about to come during this campaign season. I mean, it's a disrespectful time, you know. It's a really disrespectful time. And then let me see, what am I going to cut loose? So I'll cut that loose. But what I'm going to do is I want to show something, and then I've got to pay my respects, because I got a little deep into this before I did that. I was supposed to do it from the outset, and I did not. But I want to show you, oh boy, this cat. This cat is crazy, man. Just check this out. This is equally as bad, but probably worse. It's actually probably worse. We got the volume up on this thing? Yeah.
I was on social media last night. Very interesting. As you see black support eroding from Joe Biden, this is connecting with Black America because they love sneakers. They're into sneakers. They love this is a big deal, certainly in the inner city. So when you have Trump roll out his sneaker line, they're like, wait a minute, this is cool. He's reaching them on a level that defies and is above politics. The culture always trumps politics. And Trump understands culture like no politician I've ever seen.
Question for you on that point, though.
Yeah.
Will the people that are excited about the sneakers and excited about Donald Trump, will that translate into them going out and voting for Donald Trump?
Well, anybody willing to put $400 down for a pair of sneakers? Yeah, I think that's commitment and love.
It's
hope
something.
You're right. It's something. It's affection. I was on social media last night. Very interesting. As you see black support eroding from Joe Biden, this is connecting with Black America because they love sneakers. They're into sneakers. They love this is a big deal, certainly in the inner city. So when you have Trump roll out his sneaker line, they're like, wait a minute, this is cool. He's reaching them on a level that defies and is above politics. The culture always trumps politics. And Trump understands culture like no politician I've ever seen.
I don't need to hear her again, but
What did you say, nigga?
when I listen to that over and over and over, I'm like, okay. They're duping us, right? They're just doing this stuff just to really make fun of the situation. They can't be serious, but this dude is serious. This Pee Wee Herman lookalike dude is serious. He really does look like the late Paul Rubens. If you look at him, if you've seen him on Fox before, and I've seen him, just not. He was as animated as he could be, and he really believes that black people are going to go out and spend $400 for these shoes and support Donald Trump because of these shoes. Has nothing to do with policy, legislation, nothing. Black people love sneakers, so now black people love Trump. And this is how shallow they think we are. This is how politically ignorant they think we are. And this is how politically ignorant I think people are when they start talking about vote blue no matter who. I absolutely think people are ignorant when they say they're just going to vote for a Democrat no matter what. Can't vote for a Republican no matter what. I believe they're just as dumb as he thinks black people are voting just because they love Donald Trump and Donald Trump's sneakers. Because I'm sorry, I have no idea who would love these sneakers. I mean, unless you're in the Universal Circus, I don't even understand what outfit are you wearing these shoes with? You know, I mean, unless you're Freddie Rerun Stubbs, I don't see any use for anybody wearing these shoes. You have to be some type of circus, some type of dancing act, and truthfully, I just don't understand it. But it's a real shoe. And what'd you say they're called? Never Surrenders. I guess these are the Never Surrenders ones. These are the Trump ones, the Never Surrenders. And he's serious about them. $399 a pop. And hey, if you're out there selling his t-shirts with his mugshot on them for $19, you can buck another $380 and get you some sneakers, some Never Surrender ones. Who's doing this shit? Who's even remotely approving it? Because I know he pretty much just goes against all of his people and says, "No, I'm doing this," because he's got that power. Nobody really can control Donald Trump. I'm sure his campaign people are, they're like, we don't suggest you do that, and he still does it all the time. Who promoted this? Who upped this and said this will be a good look? I mean, right when he's been in the corner with this harassment or hush money case, and then he's got the whole Fonnie Willis thing that's right there. I mean, who thought to make this a thing? It's not serious. You're not showing me that you're serious as a politician when you do stuff like this. This is just not a good look. Never surrenders. I'm just not seeing it. So, I mean, and the fact that he brought those out, that's why I brought out the Air Minis, the Biden Harrises. This was actually a shoe that I just screenshot from somebody's post. It's not the actual shoe, but somebody sent me something and I didn't upload it. I guess Saturday Night Live done got a hold of it already. They got the Air Bidens. So, I knew they were going to get that, but they're going to get them shoes too. They're going to get them shoes. They're going to get that, I can't see no white people. All I can see is black people. They're going to get a hold of all that. They're about to have a field day. Now, I don't know who's going to be Donald Trump. Is Alec Baldwin still going to be Donald Trump? Because Alec Baldwin just got them charges put on him. So he might not be Donald Trump no more. They might have to go find another Donald Trump. But that's wild. But yeah, the Air Bidens, that was definitely sarcasm. And I don't think that there's going to be an Air Biden shoe or Biden Harris Air Mini. I just made the name up and made the shoe up because I saw the shoes. Yeah, if you got bad feet, then you really want to probably check out the Air Bidens, the Air Minis, because those are orthos. You know what I'm saying? Those are orthos. Those have a lot of comfort on the bottom of your feet, give you a little ankle support there. And, it's got the Velcro strap, so it's not going to tax you bending over for a long time to try to tie your shoes. You basically, 2 straps and you're done. And you can sit right back up. This is for an elderly person or for somebody, that may have an issue with vertigo or something like that. You're not going to be bent over, letting that blood rush to your head, knocking your equilibrium off. It's all good. It is what it is. But, like I said, the Biden Harrises not been released yet. This is a fictitious shoe. But since Saturday Night Live and got a hold of it, I'm sure somebody's going to come out with something a little bit more substantive. Maybe something with a little bit more ankle support. Joe's been falling a lot over these last several years. So maybe they'll get him something a little bit more ankle support. But yeah, these are definitely orthos. Dr. Scholl's might come out with a shoe or something like that. Who knows? Who knows what they come up with? Today, anything can happen. I mean, the fact that this happened, I was just outdone. But he's got them for sale, $3.99. He says you can get his t-shirt with his mugshot on it, and pretty much any black person selling t-shirts, they sell them for $19. That's basically what he made that sound. He's like, they love them. They love them. They sell them for $19. I was like, oh, okay, we do what we're doing out here, Donald. We're doing what we're doing out here. But I really want to take a brief pause, and our elder brother Eric Mays from Flint has joined our ancestors, and this man rode so hard for Flint. I mean, he rode hard for Flint and really gained all of this prominence over the last few years by people using his sound bites from city council meetings or press conferences, other outings and things like that, where we've been hearing this stuff for years. He's been a gem, and not a hidden gem. He's been very out front in the state of Michigan, but he's really just been getting talked about. And it didn't make him any less serious of a politician. It just magnified who he was, because he just didn't take any shit, And if there was anybody you could say that really put on for their city, it was Eric Mays. Eric Mays was Flint. He embodied Flint. and he took it very personal when you did wrong stuff against the city of Flint. He would go at the other lawmakers, he would go at police people, he would go at everybody. He didn't care. If you was coming sideways, he was getting you straightened out. So that brother, I had a lot of respect for. His memory is going to live long and strong in the city of Flint and the state of Michigan. And I really wish a lot of our other politicians maybe not have as much fight as he had, because they ain't going to be able to be as strong as he. It wouldn't be even authentic to try to be what Eric Mays is, because Eric Mays is indeed one of a kind. There'll never be anybody like him, but he was unapologetic in the way he carried himself, in his messaging, in his politicking. So, rest in power to the elder, who has now joined the ancestors. And, we are going to miss him in the state for having a strong politician representing a city like Flint. We're going to miss that, and I wish we had people around. I wish we had people in Detroit that represented, Detroit that way, as unapologetic. I wish we had people even in Washington County, where I am, Ypsilanti City Council or Ann Arbor City Council. Ann Arbor City Council, they got black faces, but do they really have black representation? I question it. I question the representation of some of these people, because they use their blackness to get elected. They like to say that they're a black political, but once they get in there, then they start talking that all lives matter shit and that BIPOC and POC shit. So yesterday, Free, he did pass. Yes, sir. He's out of here. And he was a strong individual. I mean, I'm talking a strong individual character-wise, and to the point where when he came up against people that were opposing him, if they had any power to shut him down, that's what they would do, because they couldn't go toe-to-toe with him generally on facts. He was always spot on with his facts. And because he carried himself in such a way, and of course, his unforgettable, unbelievable voice, his voice was, he didn't need a microphone wherever he spoke. He didn't need a microphone. He had one of the most powerful voices that you're ever going to find anybody in politics to have, or just walking on the street. His voice was ridiculous. And I think that intimidated a lot of people. I don't have a voice nearly as strong and as clear as his, but it's a situation where when you do have a voice that resonates, then you get people that think you're yelling, or people that think you're being mean or unjust in some way. No, it's just your voice. It's just what you're given. Everybody has a gift, and some people's voices are their gifts. And Brother Mays definitely had a gift with his voice, but he also had a gift with his consciousness. He had a gift with his consciousness. And if we had more politicians who didn't flip-flop, because we get a lot of politicians who say one thing and they get elected, then they flip-flop. And once they flip-flop, then you don't know what to believe, because they told you one thing before the election. Now they're telling you another thing after the election. And so you don't really know what to believe. You could believe what Eric Mays said because he always said the same thing. He was not a flip-flopper. And, he put a lot of people in play, but he also put a lot of people out of play. And he pointed the finger at the people who needed to have the finger pointed to them unapologetically. So I love the fact of who he was as a man, who he was as a politician, and who he was as an ambassador for Flint. So rest in power to Brother Eric Mays. I had to get that out. I was a little late getting it out, but he wasn't about no shoe shuffling. He wasn't about no skinning and grinning. He wasn't about, any of that symbolic shit. And it's a good way for me to segue. All right. It's a good way for me to segue from the real to some of the bullshit that has been out here over this last week or so. And this right here, another embarrassing situation for the Democratic Party. Another flat out embarrassing situation for the Democratic Party. The Hip Hop Task Force. Hip hop. They're now have formed a hip hop task force. And to me, when you're going to have useless propaganda put out there, I really just want to get to one of the articles. Let me just get to one of the articles. I got these articles. Hold on one second. I found a couple things and I was just like, come on, man. I think I'll look at this one. Is this a good one? Yeah, because we can look at this and I'll blow this one up. This guy, Jamal Bowman, I mean, he's turned out to be such a disappointment. Such a disappointment. And he's just become a symbolic politician, you know, some talking head that we really can't count on because he really can't get anything done. We've seen that, you know, and then he comes across with this hip hop task force, and just to his left there is a person named Hank Johnson. This clown. Another, I think when you start to hit the 70s, and he's close to 70, I think you need to start thinking about taking a back seat. He's so out of touch with this. He's so out of touch with this. And Jamal Bowman is out of touch too. But this is what they did to, and why they're doing what they're doing with this hip hop task force. What did it say at the top? Dems launch new hip hop task force. The Democratic representatives held a press conference Wednesday. This is actually back on the 14th to announce the formation of the first ever. And this is what these politicians are doing now. They love being the first. They love being the first to do something. They think that's creating some type of buzz to be the first. Well, there's also a reason why it is the first, and it's because it makes no sense. The first ever Congressional Hip Hop Task Force. Okay. Hip hop is not just music, it's an art form. Representative Jamal Bowman of New York said, it's a culture with a multi-billion-dollar economy, but we haven't harnessed the power of it yet to make it transformative. Come on, dude. Hip hop just turned 50 years old, as per y'all. We think it's much older because it came from our roots that were way before 50 years. But I get, you know, the reason why they say it is for 50 years. But he's saying transformative change can come about through hip hop in legislation. Why hasn't it up to this point? Why hadn't anybody tried this up to this point? Because it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Shay Lawson, policy chair for Black Music Action Coalition. Black Music Action Coalition spoke about the objectives of the advocacy organization and how it aligns with the new hip hop task force. We are committed to utilizing the cultural capital. There you go. The cultural capital of Black music to influence the music industry and greater society on the issues of racial justice and equity through policy, philanthropic, and educational initiatives, Lawson said. But it was over once she said the cultural capital, because that's all they're doing. There's not another music genre that has formed there's no country music task force. There's no heavy metal task force. There's no easy listening task force. There's no adult contemporary task. Why is there a hip hop task force? This is all that the Democrats have to roll out for you at this time is a hip hop task force. Representative Hank Johnson pointed to the RAP Act, which he and Bowman introduced in 2022. Y'all ever heard of the RAP Act? The RAP Act. Introduced in 2022 and again last year as the type of meaningful legislation upon which the task force could build. Among other things, the Rap Act would limit the use of songs as evidence in courtrooms. So they're concerned about lyrics not being used as evidence in courtrooms, but they're not concerned with having the people who breathe these lyrics to change their lives and stop living through the songs that they write, because that's what they're doing. These aren't just lyrics that they're writing. This is shit that has happened in their lives, and they're just happen to be recording it. As of 2022, over 500 cases across the country have introduced rap lyrics as evidence of crimes. Over 500 cases. When you think about things like that, 500 cases, and I'm not sure who they're using it against. I don't know if this has anything to do with the Young Thug thing or if it's any other people, but the crazy thing about it, they're focusing on rap lyrics. They're not focusing on homelessness of Black people. They're not focusing on unemployment for Black people. They're not focusing on assistance with Black business owners. They're not focusing on Black home ownership. They're not focusing on literacy. They're focusing on trying not to get rap lyrics introduced as evidence of crimes. Willie Prophet Stiggers, co-chair and founder of BMAC, gave a shout out to artists like Fat Joe, Meek Mill, Jay-Z for their work within the hip hop culture. Fat Joe, why? Meek Mill, double why. And Jay-Z, we pretty much know what Jay-Z's done out here. Hyping Meek Mill up means nothing to me. Meek Mill is a puppet. And somebody told me that he broke away from the group that he's been with for a while. I guess he says he doesn't want to do some of the stuff that they were doing. But, you know, hey, I know he's talked up Donald Trump before. I know he's a friend of Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, who's a good friend of Donald Trump. You might see Meek Mill in some of those never surrenders. And as far as Fat Joe goes, I'm not sure exactly why he even exists in Black people's vocabulary where music is concerned. He does said enough greasy shit about Black people over the last 2-3 years to where we shouldn't even be acknowledging him when he gets on the mic. In any way, what you are watching is the maturation of the culture, Prophet said. You are watching us come together and take something that came from nothing, that came out of despair, that came out of being disenfranchised. Now you're seeing the effects of that culture growing up. In addition, Representative Johnson and Bowman, the task force will also include Representative Delia Ramirez and Andre Carson. It's not clear whether any Republicans will join the task force. Why would they let Republicans in on the task force? It'd actually be smart. But they're going to take this L themselves. They're going to take this one all the way down themselves. I could make a bigger deal about the Delia Ramirez, but I'm not, because it is what it is. I'm not here to talk about who created hip hop and all that, and whether it was a Latino, whether it was a Black. I'm not here, but that's who the task force includes. Delia Ramirez and Andre Carson. But they're not sure if they're going to bring any Republicans on, and I don't know why they would or wouldn't, but it is what it is. So a hip-hop task force, we're heading into March. So that's going to give him another, 8 months before the election. This is what they're rolling out. And I haven't heard Joe Biden speak on it as of yet. I can't wait. I can't wait until he does speak on it. It's going to be interesting to see what Joe has to say about the hip hop task force and see what type of tongue tying he's going to get himself into, because he knows nothing about hip hop. And I don't care how many people interview him. Joe Biden knows absolutely nothing about hip hop. It is disgusting, Free. It is disgusting. And this goes back to a clip that I put up a while back. You know, this is where we are, folks. This is where we are. You know, you've got the corporations, you got the government, you got the media, you got the military, you got the police, and then you've got you. And we are the smallest, the least resourced piece on the board. I mean, I'm talking literally. We have no power. And I know we have power in numbers. And I know we have, you know, we have power with policy when it's put the right way, but who's really looking towards that when things like this come up? Hip hop task force. Really? Goofy. This is goofiness here. And when Jamal Bowman says shit like this,
Did you say nigga?
I have to say things like that. I'm not in those spaces to where I'm going to get all giddy about anything that the Democrats do until I see them doing something substantive that's already happening. Because this problem that we have right now, and it's in Michigan, they're just not talking about it because they like to say that we are sanctuary territories. But illegals have been here for years, but now we're starting to get flushed with more because they're leaving out from your Illinois and Indiana areas and coming in from the East Coast. But what I'm looking at now with a hip hop task force, a little bit more than 8 months before the election, Joe Biden is not stable. Kamala Harris, she's lost all credibility. I mean, this is what they're putting on the table. And I know people are going to say, well, how come you're not talking about reparations? Dude, come on, man. Why would we talk about reparations when they're talking about hip hop task force? That's just throwing a good conversation after a bad situation that's already happening. And as far as I'm concerned, reparations took a turn for me last week. I was actually given notice that I was not selected for our local reparations advisory council. And you know what? I don't even care at this point, because I knew something was wrong because I heard a few things through the grapevine, and I knew something was wrong. And if they filled all the seats, let's just say that they filled all the seats, because I don't believe that they've actually filled all the seats. I'll be honest with you. I don't believe that they filled all the seats. I also don't believe that the council is going to go forth. And if it does go forth, it's going to be interesting to see who actually was selected. I'm not going to be a rabble rouser as far as who got selected, but I am going to be that black butterfly on the wall at all of the public meetings. I want to see what they're going to do with this local reparations advisory council. It's going to be interesting because nobody in this county has talked full-throated about reparations for as long as I have over these last several years. So I'm looking to see the people that they did choose who haven't spoke about it, who don't have as much knowledge on it, whether we're talking about local initiatives or federal. I'd love to see who's going to be on it and what they're going to talk about, because it's going to be interesting. I hope they did fill all the seats properly, and I hope that they do develop an agenda. It's going to be interesting. So no sour grapes for me that I wasn't selected. I would have felt some kind of way probably if I had been selected, seeing that I know I was one of the earlier applicants, and then to turn around and not be selected, not a big deal. Can't even lie to say, man, that's some bullshit. No, it was almost like a weight off my shoulder. Like, now I got the result. Okay, I'm good. But it's going to be interesting to see the county commissioners, to see the city councils, because this is a Washtenaw County thing. It's just not Ann Arbor, and it's just not Ypsilanti. It's just not the two biggest towns in the county. If this is a countywide thing, we're talking countywide residents. And where the percentages will be really low outside of Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti, there still are certain factions of American blacks living in the smaller towns, and they're going to have to be dealt with. And I know that this was not a second level planned out situation. When they were talking about putting this together, they were thinking specifically about your Ann Arbor and your Ypsi, maybe your Ypsi Township. They weren't talking about the black people who may stay in Whitmore Lake, or the black people who may stay in Dexter or Chelsea or Saline. Trust me, I know. They were thinking that they could net up a bunch of fish in Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti and be done with this thing. But it's taken a turn, and hopefully they'll be able to come out and say, you know what, we were in over our head with this thing. We're not going to push it forward. We're on to something else. Just bow out gracefully. Because if you do put an organization together and you have a council that doesn't know as much as your constituents, that's going to be an issue. That's going to be a huge issue. But hopefully everybody that was selected, hopefully they will bring their A game and make sure that they put the pressure on the politicians. Any of the citizens that were selected to the council, make sure that they put the pressure on the councils, on the commissioners, anybody that's pushing the legislation for local initiatives. I don't like really calling it reparations, because I don't think any county can pay reparations, but I know that was a talking point, so they wanted to use that word. But if they've got some local initiatives set up, that's one thing. But to call it reparations, I think that's somewhat fooling the people. So it is what it is. But yes, not getting selected on that, not such a bad thing. Not such a bad thing, because I felt like it had some holes already in it. And there ain't no point in me being a part of a sinking ship. I'm at the stage in my life where I get to pick and choose what I'm doing out here. And I don't need to be a part of a sinking ship. And I felt like that was a sinking ship from the beginning, the way they rolled it out, and it was half-hearted, and they didn't have the proper people in front of it. And it wasn't like it was necessarily had to be me, but we're in a state friend of mine went to Mexico. And we're just going to push forward and continue to hope that things work the right way with that council, if it does get put together. And then I'd be interested to see what they're going to be able to put together for the folks of Washtenaw County, the descendants of enslaved individuals. It's not for POC, it's not for BIPOC, it's not for Native Americans, it's for the descendants of enslaved people here in this country. Okay, so if they change that around at all, I'll definitely be there to see it, and definitely be here to regurgitate it. So with that being said, I want to move forward. This was something that I saw. So I'm out and about in a lot of rural areas, And I know we've all experienced this situation right here. We've all gotten to a restaurant and they've had a note that they had to go somewhere, that they had to do something and they would be right back. If you haven't, then you probably haven't gone to a lot of restaurants, but it said had to run an errand, kid from school, be back at 3, barbecue Mike. Can't say where I was and what the restaurant was and all that. But when I saw this, it reminded me when I had to leave my own businesses to tend to family, you know, or you had to leave notes on the door, or maybe it was even back when, you know, I had to make store runs and I left and had to put the note on the door because we were short on the crew and I left, and then maybe I sent a delivery another direction and then we would meet back at the shop, whatever. This right here is the real life of a business owner, because your life does not stop because you own a business. Your life definitely does not stop. You've got to run these type of errands during your business hours. And this was actually a barbecue restaurant in one of the more rural territories that I work in. And I took a picture of it as a good reminder to know. I know a lot of people hate to see this, and let me just be very honest. I've heard people rant on social media about businesses having to shut down because they had to make a run. A lot of times, unfortunately, it may be a Black business. Black businesses are not the only one that this happens, that does these things. This actually happens to be a non-Black individual in an area where there's non-Black people that live there. Probably less than 1% Black. So I definitely knew that it was not a situation where it was a Black-owned business, nor did I even care. What I cared about was the fact that their life didn't stop to the point where they forgot their kid at school. They went and picked him up, probably took him home, or they were going to be bringing him back, and the kid was going to work at the restaurant for a couple hours before probably heading home. But either way, when I got there, it was probably like 2:30, 2:35. So it's still about 25 minutes. I didn't have time to wait 25 minutes idle. I had to keep it moving and get to my next site. But this was an important reminder for anybody that's thinking about running a business. Life does not stop because you run a business, and you cannot stop your business to go live your life. Once you post them hours that you're going to be open, you've got to post things like this when you have to leave. And I don't think people really probably think, you know, lowly of him in his area. They probably know. They probably know him. They probably know his family. I was there for a specific situation, but that's okay. Once I see this, I put it in my notes. Hey, left sign on the door, had to run an errand and pick his kid up from school. We'll check back another time. That's all I'm going to do. And it's not a bad thing, because that's real life. That's real life. And that's what real business owners go through. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing that he's living like that. You know, I often think this situation probably happened back in the day when I looked at the original Little Caesars restaurant, you know, founded by Mike Ilitch and his wife. You know, I did not know until I saw this picture. This place used to be a chicken, fish, and shrimp place. It was like your quintessential Black mom and pop joint. Chicken, fish, and shrimp. Little Caesars pizza treat, chicken, fish, and shrimp. They did chicken, fish, and shrimp back in the day at Little Caesars. I had no idea. Now, I think they started this restaurant in like 1959 or something like that. If I'm not mistaken, I think the first Little Caesars opened up in 1959 in Garden City. So when they opened this up, they did it all. They did chicken, fish, and shrimp. How well they did chicken, fish, and shrimp, I don't even know. Now, I know they still do the Little Caesars wings, but they don't do any more fish, and they don't do any more shrimp. It's all pizza now. It's pizza and crazy bread and Italian cheese bread and stuff like that, and whatever little, you know, promotional situations they got going on. But they don't do fish and shrimp no more. But that's what they started out as. Little Caesars pizza treat, chicken, fish, and shrimp. And I'm sure at some point they probably had to put the note on the door too. They probably had to do things for their family too. When they had to go be with family, they had to shut the spot down. But look at them now. When you make them sacrifices, look at them now. They went from Little Caesars Pizza Treat to Little Caesars Arena. And all the stuff that happened in between, that's how you get there. That's how you get there. You make them sacrifices. So anybody that's out here as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, sole proprietor, and you might have 1 or 2, 5 employees, whatever, just keep plugging away. Just keep plugging away. If you can hold on, hold on. You know, don't sacrifice yourself to the point where you're not eating. But if you can hold on, hold on. There's going to be better times on the other side. Trust me. Entrepreneurship is going to really mean something going forward. Just like I talk about skilled trades and different things like that. Yeah, we need all of those people, but we need to be owning our own businesses. It's no mistake you're seeing businesses pop up with other ethnicities in your territory. You don't see the growth in your own territory. I don't care where you are, where you listening from. Free, you in Florida. Tony D, you in Georgia. I don't see any territory growing with white-owned businesses or even black-owned businesses more than businesses by people who are from other territories. You know, every time we turn around in Washington County, there's a new Mexican restaurant popping up or a new ethnic grocery store, whether it be an Indian grocery store, Asian grocery store, Latino grocery store. You know what I'm saying? Years back, we were talking about grocery stores. Why didn't we have our own grocery store? I'm not talking about no little mart. I'm not talking about no 1 or 2 lane. I'm talking about a real grocery store. And when I was trying to talk serious about it, about doing some things over in Galt Village, you had gatekeepers out there. You had gatekeepers that said they wanted to have a conversation, but they really didn't want to have the conversation, because there's people that just don't want you to get ahead of them, even if it's just in thinking and theory. They don't want you to be outthinking them. They don't want your theory to be better than theirs. And they'll basically suppress what you do. And when the iron was hot, it was time to move. Now the iron ain't hot. The iron is actually very lukewarm if it is. But for the most part, it's cold because the resources are not out there. This was pre-COVID that we were talking about this, well before the demolition of the place. And granted, those structures might have not been really good to do. We wouldn't have had to do it there. We could have did it somewhere else. But we need a grocery store for American Black people. We need that. And for some reason, people don't see it as viable. Well, why do Asians have grocery stores? Why do Indians have grocery stores? Why do the Latinos have grocery stores? If they're not viable, why do those people have their own grocery store? Because they can go to Kroger's just like we do. They can go to Meijer just like we do. They can go to Sam's Club, GFS. They can go to all the places that we go. Why don't they? Why do they go to their own grocery stores? Simply because that has the food, for one, that's the healthiest for them, and 2, the pricing. If you go into some of these grocery stores, these ethnic grocery stores, the pricing is better sometimes than the pricing in the big box grocery stores. I don't know if y'all go in them or not, but you should try it, because you eat a lot of the stuff that you eat, that they eat. You just buy it from a big box grocery store and you're paying more for it. I'm telling you. Should definitely try shopping at some of these smaller grocery stores. Don't be mad because it's an ethnic grocery store. Go get what you need to get. You don't get mad when you go to Kroger's. You don't get mad when you go to Meijer's. You don't get mad when you go to Sam's Club or Costco. Don't get mad because somebody owns a grocery store. Patronize those small businesses. And hell, get in there and catch some ism from them, because a lot of them will tell you how they did things. I've went into some of these places, even not in a work capacity, and I ask them, like, how many members of your family work in this business? Someone will say like 4, 5, 6. That's how you do it. You have your family working in these businesses, and you keep that close-knit situation, because as soon as you start hiring outsiders, your business goes to a whole nother level, or it should be at another level. But with your family, sometimes you may have to compensate your family with some of them goods. You know, not always, because everybody needs money to live, but there's a lot that you can do with those situations. But, you know, big salute to the Illiches for keeping this thing going all these years. And I mean, they own so much. I mean, obviously, they own the sports teams and the arenas and, you know, the concert venues and all that stuff. I mean, they own a lot of Detroit. If it ain't the Illiches, it's Dan Gilbert. You know, and I'm never going to hate on these people because they just came for what was available. They didn't take nothing from us. They didn't take anything from us, you know, but collectively, I'm sure there were some things through the years that if people would have put their money together, they could have been black owned, but people chose to buy other things or do other things or just not buy anything at all. And we've turned into, you know, the quintessential consumer. That's it at this point. But there was one more thing. Oh, let me get that. Just want to rehash a bit something that had happened earlier last week. And I think it's been a couple weeks since this actually had happened. It actually had been spoke about. But let me bring this slide up. But, you know, I've made my peace. With what he said. But at this point, I've really got to start taking a harder look at why Michael Render is saying the things that he's saying. Why is he doing the things that he's doing? Why is he moving the way that he's moving? Because if you remember, he was down by law for Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders was dead set against reparations for American descendants of enslaved individuals. Michael Render is pro-reparations. I never understood how he was able to stand toe-to-toe, not toe-to-toe, really shoulder to shoulder with Bernie if Bernie was in that much opposition to Black Americans or American blacks, as it were. But Michael Render has obviously moved on because Bernie Sanders is no longer in the political space of running for president. And he entertained RFK, Robert F. Kennedy. And one of the things that when he did this, there was a part in his meeting in his barbershop, because he had his barbershop together, right? He had his barbershop together and he had some influencers in there. He had some people from Atlanta, obviously, speaking with RFK. And he came in and started to talk about child support, which does plague the Black community ridiculously. Trust me, know this. But what he said of how we could settle the problem of child support in the Black community was disturbing, because he basically put Black people in a box and said, Black people do this and Black people do that. And this is how Black people live happily ever after. And I kicked back at it immediately. A lot of people have kicked back at it because we really don't understand where he's coming from, because as much as people like to say Black people aren't a monolith, Michael Render is trying to make us monolithic. So most of you probably have heard his words at this point, but I still want to play the audio so it can make sense, so I can really I want to rehash, but say a couple other things new to why he did what he did. And then I want to try something out right after.
Back to child support. I think the solution is this, and I'm out your way. 2 years. Young woman gets pregnant as a teenager, young man and woman get pregnant. This is the 2-year plan. First 2 years are debt free. You don't have to pay the government anything back. So she doesn't get to drag them into court and the court doesn't say you owe us money for investing in your child through food programs, through early Head Start programs. Because in those 2 years, the boy has the option, or not an option, he has the demand of the co-man to then go to a trade school. You have to go to a trade school, which incentivizes the United States to do it because we need more tradespeople. We don't have enough carpenters, we don't have enough electricians, we don't have enough people building roads. In my community, the girls are going to college and graduating. They have no men to marry because the boys are not going to college in the same way. My teachers were married to a tradesman. My teacher, who we call doctor, her husband owned a locksmith company. Her husband was a carpenter, was a mechanic. So they had a good life. Their kids went to school right the same schools we went to. I think that the incentive to solving the child support problem and a part of solving our infrastructure problem is to incentivize young boys who have gotten a girl pregnant. You must now go through 2 years of trade school.
Oh, wait a minute. So, okay, I like what
Let me give you the rest of the answer.
Okay, go ahead.
After that boy graduates, you get a further incentive if you and the girl marry. If you and the girl marry, we'll give you these incentives: zero finance home loans, something out of HUD besides an apartment with a leaky faucet and rats and roaches in it, but incentivize marriage, which then strengthens our community, the Black community, and strengthens the greater community, because now you have more American marriages, you have people with stronger financial stability, and you have tradespeople married to women of education, and you begin to recreate communities like what Auburn Avenue was, what Edgewood was. I believe you can do this from the executive order because the money that Florida funnels down from the feds through the states to help mothers, then it can be attached where we're not only helping mothers, we're helping fathers too. If a boy gets a woman pregnant, not only does she receive TANF, I see your face, you right? Good idea. If a woman receives TANF, she receives this, the boy now has a must. You're federally required now to go to trade school. And in those 2 years, what you put out on the other side is a person who's trained, a person who has incentive to marry, and a person who becomes a taxpayer and not just a taker of taxes.
So in listening to that, and I don't know how many times I've listened to it at this point, Killer Mike basically said that young Black boys, teenagers, because he said teenager, and when I think teenager, young teenage boys, I'm thinking the 14, 15, 16 variety. I'm not thinking 18, 19 years old when you're actually considered an adult legally in America, but chances are you still don't have your stuff together. He's almost doing a shotgun wedding type thing, but saying, hey, we're going to try to guarantee, some type of comeuppance with the 2-year program. I initially thought like, okay, let's just say that it worked out perfectly for the young boy. And in 2 years, when he's done with his apprenticeship program and he has a way to be able to support his young child, the mother is going to be in no position to be a school teacher. He just said Black girls are going to college and they're becoming school teachers, and Black boys aren't going to college and becoming anything. So let's try to get them doing something as we have these Black girls who are going to college. All Black girls aren't going to college and becoming school teachers. And I've done a little bit of research on that. I mean, we have very few along the scale. I think we might have like 7% teachers in the United States that are Black American Black, right? 7%. Then you have a situation within that 7%, about 75% of the 7% of Black teachers are women. But of that 75%, only like 20% have been like our young teachers. Everybody else has been in the game for several years, a multitude of years. Now, I just put a number on the screen. It is a call-in number, and I just put it up there as a tester today to see if anybody had an interest in saying anything. We should be able to have you audible through the stream. I also put the StreamYard link in the comments. So if you want to show your face, then hit that StreamYard link. If you just want your voice heard, then hit that call-in number. I don't really have to have either one happen today. I'm just testing things out. I wanted to get through the stream, get through the information that I was talking about, because I'm considering going up again later tonight, simply because I'm not going to be as occupied as we generally have a commitment on Sunday evenings. Doesn't look like that commitment is going to come through. So we're going to figure out some other things to do. And then I'll probably get back in here because I've got some other things I want to talk about on the local end. I talked a little bit about, you know, the Reparations Council, but there's some other things that I want to talk about on the local end that are happening in Washtenaw County. And I want to get that off. But this phone number is a Google Voice number. So if you do call it, it's going to ask your name. You say your name, and then the phone call will come through. Once the phone call comes through, it's going to be a hot mic. All right. It's going to be a hot mic. So hopefully I don't have no goofiness on there. If I do, I just know how to hang up. I mean, there ain't shit that anybody can say for too long. I can just figure out how to hang up. But, you know, what I'm going to do is I want to make people understand that people like Killer Mike, you know, and I want to, you know what? I can probably bring this screen up because I posted it. Give me one quick second. I said that this would dispel Killer Mike's theory. And I wasn't specifically trying to dispel his theory. I'm not trying to be a Killer Mike contrarian, right? I'm not trying to be that. But what I wanted to show was, are they talking right there? What I wanted to show was where he was thinking and what he was saying. It didn't totally make sense. And I put it, oh, 1 second. Boy, did I post a lot yesterday or something? Maybe I did. Okay. Yeah, let me get this, because I love this. I really did. I loved it. So I thought this here was probably one of the more inspiring things. And, you know, like I said, I just left the caption. I was like, this kind of kills Killer Mike's theory. Because if he's saying that young girls are going to college and young girls are becoming school teachers, and we need young boys to become tradesmen, this right here kind of kills that theory. Let's check this out. I thought it was awesome. I mean, I just, you know, certain things make me happy. And when I saw this, I literally thought it was awesome.
Take your time. Keep it in your head. Take your time. Take your time. Got too loud over there. Jack it down neatly. Take your time. Okay, stop. Now come around here because you got it. Come here, you got it. Wipe it. What? No more. You don't want to mess it up.
You don't want to.
Did a good job. Wipe it down.
I love the way he's teaching her. I love the way he's teaching her.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, good job. You did better than Ansley. No, you're done. All right, you gotta do this one up here. All right, check it. Now, not neatly. Take your time. Keep it in your head.
This is not my good hand.
Take your time. Got too loud over there. All right, check it down neatly. Take your time. Okay, stop. Now come around here because you got it. Come here, you got it. Wipe it. What? No more. You don't want to mess it up. Did a good job. Wipe it down. Yep. Okay. Oh, good job. You did better than Ansley. No, you done. All right, you got to do this one up here.
So stuff like that, we've got to have situations like that where kids can be taught to do anything. Will she turn out to be a welder? I don't know. But she's learning it. Look at the age. This girl's probably no more than 8, 9 years old. And she's up there learning how to weld pipes and seal pipes, whatever. I don't know the technical term. I'm not that. And that gentleman that was teaching her, he was guiding her. He was firm. He was controlling his classroom. He's like, y'all too loud over there. You could tell he had full control of that environment. And she never lost confidence in his teachings. That's what we have to see out here for these kids. They've got to be able to see a wide array of things when they're young, because we know they're going to bottleneck when they get older. We absolutely know they're going to bottleneck when they get older. And that, to me, lets me know that there's hope for even our teachers. That teacher that was talking never had his face on camera, but I could tell he was a black man. And we need more black men that are teachers. I don't know why Michael Render went so hard about black women being teachers when we know that most of the teachers that are black in America are women. Why is he not going hard for black male teachers? I don't know. And I don't know why there was no pushback with that, with the people that he had in his barbershop, or even RFK. Well, RFK probably didn't know the questions to ask. RFK didn't know the questions to ask, and I get it. I totally get it. He's not going to know the questions to ask in those situations, so I totally get that. And that's okay. That's okay, because what he's trying to do right now, where he's trying to be, is he's trying to find his voice in the black neighborhoods, with the black collective. I don't know if he'll do it. I don't know if he's got enough to be able to push, but I'm still rocking with Cornel West. If Cornel West makes it, I'll vote for him. If RFK makes it, I'll probably be voting for him. I just don't see myself voting for Biden or Trump. I just don't see it. I mean, do you see it? Could you see yourself voting for people who are all about the symbolic behavior and not real political behavior? Because Trump's, he's all about symbolic shit. And Biden, what he's shown us in these almost 4 years, that's all he's going to do. He's not going to do anything substantive for us. After telling you on election night that the black community kept his campaign from sinking, and you had his back, and he's going to have your back. And he ain't had nobody's back that looks like me, whether it be Killer Mike or anybody else. Once again, I want to say rest in power to Mr. Flint, the elder Eric Mays, one of the most incredible voices, audibly, figuratively, and literally, to ever be a politician in this state. And now he's internationally known for his clapbacks, but he was so much more than his sound bites. And hopefully people will understand how thorough he was. And truly, if we have people like him in Washtenaw County, we'd really have something going. But we don't, and we probably won't, because people are afraid to be what that man was. People are afraid, and I get it. I get it. I do potting and I get kicked back. I'm in no government office, no appointed position, no elected position, and I get kicked back. I'm not scared. So I can't even imagine what happens with the people that are actually elected to these offices, and they probably feel like they're standing on 5 milk crates and they're just trying to balance themselves and keep themselves upright. They're never going to step out of line. We had Napid Day a couple weeks ago. And that's actually a stream that I didn't talk about yet, didn't bring up, because I haven't had a lot of time to be in the studio. But I think that's something that we need to talk about now that we're kind of far enough away from it. It was a good day where I was, and there were some other good days in some other schools, but it's gotten to the point where it's a very disrespectful day in some of these schools in Washtenaw County, to the point where they don't even want to talk about National African American Parent Involvement Day. They just call it PID. They totally erase the National African American part of it. And where I don't use that phrase African American, I would use it here because I'm defending what was put together by the elder ancestor, Brother Joe Doolin. And he deserves to have that name spoken. He deserves to have that acronym written. It's NAPID Day. It's not PID Day. It's NAPID Day. But some people chose to discount it to the point where they just called it PID Day, and they just let any parent come on in and didn't cater any activity towards the Black kids. It was just Parent Involvement Day. And I don't know if they have a standard Parent Involvement Day in Washtenaw County or at Ann Arbor Public Schools, but they've turned it into that. And this is what happens when you have a lot of Black principals, but not a lot of Black teachers. I'm trying to tell you, it makes a huge difference with the presentation to whether you got Black leadership or if you got Black boots on the ground. Because the Black leadership will get overridden by the non-Black boots on the ground. And that's what happens a lot. 1 out of 2 principals are Black in AAPS, but there's still only 1 out of 10 teachers that are Black. So that's your problem. And as far as Black men teaching in Ann Arbor Public Schools, it's damn near non-existent. And the ones we do have, we'll talk about it another day. But I appreciate anybody that's going to check this out, whether it's going to be you were here live or you're watching the playback and you've made it through, what is that, 87 minutes and 30 seconds. We just had a little bit of dialogue to go over today. Wasn't too serious, wasn't a lot of rapid fire today. I just felt like I needed to get something off my chest, had the time to do so. But I want to get back in here again. But I'm going to go tweak some things, make sure everything's good around the homestead. We found some Girl Scout cookies too. Appreciate y'all who helped out with that. But Natty actually found some that was right next to her job. So we busted a move, and we've got cookies. We've got cookies. So we're going to be good for a minute, for a few days at least, it looks like. But yeah, where we are right now, we can't waste time dealing with situations like this. I mean, this right here is harmful. This right here is dangerous. And I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do with the Democratic Party come November en masse, but I don't think we're going to be at 80, 90% locked in the way we have with American Black folks. I think it's going to be quite different. And I did my best to stay away from the illegals and all that stuff going on, because I know y'all tired of hearing that, but we're going to come back with it because there's so much happening. It's been so much violence and so many things that we have to talk about how to protect ourselves, not just from them, but you got to understand there's going to be kickback all around because the antennas of law enforcement is going to get heightened. And no matter what, there's going to be more of us out there. So I'm not saying we're going to catch friendly fire, but we're definitely going to be put into a position to where they're going to say, oh, brown skin. Yeah, let's talk to him too. That's what's about to come up. It's coming. Just telling you. And it might not be in Washtenaw County because Washtenaw County's police, they act as if we are a sanctuary territory. And, they're really not on that time. But there's going to be some areas that it's going to be real difficult for Black people. And it's unfortunate because it's all what the Democrats have put forth. And I don't really think it's going to get better if Donald Trump does get elected. He just may stop a few things that Joe Biden's choosing not to stop, but they're still going to come into the country en masse like they are right now. I don't know, but they're still going to come into the country. That's not going to stop. That's not going to change. But y'all be good out here. Enjoy the weather if it's sunny today. I saw 81 degrees somewhere. I can't even remember where they were. I just kept scrolling on the post because I was like, 81. Why do we have 81 there? And where are we at today? 31? Makes no sense. Y'all be good. Or don't. One love.
Yeah, rapper stepping to me. They want to get some, but I'm the cat, so yo, you know the outcome.
Rapper stepping to me. They want to get some, but I'm the creeper, so yo, you know the outcome.
Rapper stepping to me. They want to get some, but I'm the cat, so yo, you know the outcome.
Rapper stepping to me. They want to get some, but I'm the creeper, so yo, you know the flow.
Who wanna see me act a fool? Grab the mic and broadcast like the 6 o'clock news. Reaching my peeps when I excite the crowd. And MCs get dealt with quick for crying out loud. I packed a little something every run for your subs. Back happy in the house, I'll show your MC some love. My slow flow keeps you on the go like no dose. Plus, I'm your doctor on call for the down low. It's just the light thing that functions what I bring. Like Mary J sang, I got real love for this game. Yeah. Never coming lame, I'm in the streets, not peep. What time is it? Time to play for keeps. Check it out, I'm coming with that soul. Sonic force, of course. Running rugged like a thoroughbred horse. Got my torch in my hand like I'm starting the Olympics. Microphone stays on fire cause I'm gifted. Terrific. I still got juice like high C. Plus I'm funking up your liver like 2 quarts of OD. So knock knock, who is it? It's your fat MC. Once again, ready to bounce down these roads and streets. Yeah, fill my cup up, fool. And let's blaze up the weed to the old school. Let's ride, glide, slippity slide. Yeah, and like niggas be cool. Like niggas be cool. Fill my cup up, fool. And let's blaze up the weed to the old school. Let's ride, glide.